Good morning, everyone. Your morning weather briefing for this Monday, July 23rd, finds that there are no major changes in the forecast versus what I presented yesterday morning. Temperature and rainfall outlooks, I would consider these maps to be quite similar to what we had in the forecast yesterday morning. A lot of below normal temperatures in the Corn Belt for the next 10 days anyway. Still no big heat in the 11 to 15 day period either, but temperatures will be warming up during that time frame versus what is seen for the next 10 days. Rainfall chances in the 6 to 10 day period favoring southern portions of the Corn Belt, then probably some shift towards better chances of rainfall in northern portions of the Corn Belt for the 11 to 15 day time frame. QPF discussion, no differences of opinion versus what is shown in this map. A lot of the Corn Belt and a lot of the Mid-South looking at little or nothing in the way of rainfall for this work week period. Any rainfall on the Corn Belt confined to the far east for central and eastern portion of Ohio, and in the far west for especially areas to the west of the Missouri River. Some of the rain that is shown in the hardwood winter wheat belt will be falling on every day in this period, probably the best amounts in coverage for late in this time frame. Modest rains in the northern plains, mainly for tomorrow night and into a portion of Wednesday. Some of the bigger rain shown along the eastern portion of the nation will be falling on every day during this work week period. As we get towards the day 6 to 7 time frame, that is when rainfall chances will be increasing once again for the Corn Belt and for the Mid-South, favoring southern portion of the Corn Belt through northern portion of the Mid-South. This map will be changing quite a bit as far as details is concerned over the next several days, but I do like where it does have the best rains to fall in that period. High temperatures yesterday, mild conditions across the Corn Belt. A lot of the central and east seeing highs yesterday just in the 70s. Note once again some big time heat in southern portion of the Plain States. Several places once again in southern Oklahoma and into Texas, topping out with highs above the 110 degree mark. 18-hour rainfall totals through 1 o'clock this morning. Some widely scattered rains continued to fall yesterday in eastern portion of the Corn Belt, and we are seeing some widely scattered rains this morning in far western portion of the Corn Belt. A radar estimated rainfall for the past 3 days. As expected, some very nice rains over the weekend across eastern portions of the Corn Belt, across some sections of Michigan, into central and eastern Indiana, into a good portion of Ohio. And then you can see the widely scattered rains that have fallen in far western portion of the Corn Belt and into the Plain States over the past 3 days as well. Some rain still showing up this morning in far western portion of the Corn Belt and into portions of the hardwood winter wheat belt as well. Otherwise, pretty quiet radar across the middle of the country this morning. As far as the forecast is concerned, looking at 5-day rainfall forecasts again for a sizable portion of the Corn Belt, a good model agreement that we are going to be seeing very limited rains in that region, as well as for a big portion of the Mid-South during this work week period. Again, any rainfall of note in the Corn Belt during this work week period mainly going to be falling in the far east for central and eastern portion of Ohio for especially today through a portion of Wednesday, and in far eastern areas of the Corn Belt, some of that rainfall, far western portions of the Corn Belt, I should say, some of that rainfall occurring on every day during this work week period. But in between, a large portion of the Corn Belt and into the Mid-South, looking at largely dry conditions for today through Friday. Then as we get towards the weekend, we'll be seeing rainfall chances returning to the Corn Belt, especially in southern areas, and that is all due to an upper level low pressure system that is going to be tracking through the region at that time, going to be taking a track first southeast and then southward, so you can see why it is going to be a weather system that is going to be favoring rainfall during the weekend period across Nebraska, Kansas, southern portion of Illinois, central and southern Indiana, and into Ohio. A lot of that area seeing rainfall amounts during the weekend of at least 3/4 of an inch, but there will probably be an area that I will be able to eventually define that will see rainfall totals more on the order of 1 to 2 inches during that period. Rest of the Corn Belt looking at minimal amounts of rainfall, and if you look at the 10-day rainfall forecast as a whole, for the Corn Belt, especially Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and northern Illinois, that is going to be your most disfavored area for rainfall for the next 10 days. A lot of that area for the next 10 days seeing under a ½ inch of rainfall. There you can see the 6 to 10 day rainfall forecast, that it will be southern portion of the Corn Belt that will be favored for rainfall during the next 10 days. And again, the bulk of the rainfall that is shown there is going to be falling during the weekend period. And again, you can see how Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and northern Illinois are a particularly disfavored area for rainfall for the 6 to 10 day time frame. Temperature forecast still a situation where we're not looking at any big heat for the next 2 weeks, but that is especially the case for the next 10 days. Your temperature anomaly forecast for this Monday, note that an extensive area of near to below normal temperatures in the middle of the country, any extreme heat just in southwestern portion of the mid-south and also into the southern plains. The very worst of the heat in southern Oklahoma and Texas is probably behind us now, but a lot of that area is still looking at quite a bit of above normal temperatures, probably right through the weekend, which will mean several more days with high temperatures above the 100-degree mark, especially for extreme southern Oklahoma and for a large portion of Texas outside of central and northern portions of the Texas Panhandle. An especially cool period of weather coming up for the middle of the country starting around this Wednesday, Thursday, and continuing for several days beyond that. Just looking at a snapshot of temperatures for Friday, note the extensive area of below normal temperatures for central and western portions of the Corn Belt, as well as central and northern parts of the central and northern plains. Note also that there would be an extensive area on Friday with much below normal temperatures, with readings more than 10 degrees below normal in the far northwestern Corn Belt and a lot of the northern plains. Looking at 500 millibars for the 11 to 15 day time frame, early portion of that period kind of a nondescript 11 to 15 day kind of a nondescript 500 millibar pattern for the beginning of the 11 to 15 day period. Again, our dome of high pressure in its normal summertime location in southwestern portion of the nation, a trough of low pressure diving into a southern portion of the nation at that time. Pretty easy to see with the trough of low pressure with that location why it would be eastern portion of the nation that will continue to have rainfall chances at that time. For latter portions of the 11 to 15 day period, you can see that heights start to rise across a big portion of the nation. The dome of high pressure starts to become more elongated and stretched out across southern portions of the nation. It would mean a warmer temperature pattern during the 11 to 15 day time frame. Again, the coolest weather that is going to be seen in the Corn Belt probably during the next 10 days before temperatures return to more normal levels in the 11 to 15 day time frame. And with the warming of that temperature pattern in that time frame, with the jet stream lifting further northward, with the storm track lifting further northward, I would think that rainfall chances in the 11 to 15 day time frame would favor more towards northern portions of the Corn Belt at that time. So for the next 10 days, the northern portion of the Corn Belt disfavored for rainfall, but they may have the best chance for rainfall as we get into the 11 to 15 day time frame with a warmer weather pattern and the storm track lifting further northward during that time frame. Again, we are looking at the coolest of the weather during the next 2 weeks in the Corn Belt to be during the next 10 days, with temperatures warming to some degree in the 11 to 15 day period. I wanted to point out this morning that the European ensemble for very late in the 11 to 15 day period, this particular map would be for August 5th, is actually showing a pretty decent area of above normal temperatures returning to the Corn Belt for a latter portion of the 11 to 15 day time frame. For the most part, I'm going to be disagreeing with that forecast this morning, believing more of the GFS ensemble and the Canadian ensemble that would suggest more of a normal temperature pattern at that time frame before temperatures possibly return to more above normal levels for maybe by the time we get to August 6th. So just kind of keeping an eye on that European ensemble this morning. Wanted to point out to you, in case someone else in the weather forecast industry mentions it this morning, that the European ensemble is suggesting a pretty decent return to some above normal temperatures for late in the 11 to 15 day time frame. My own personal opinion going against that right now, but certainly I'm keeping an eye on it. International weather for your Monday for the former Soviet Union, near to below normal rainfall there for the next 2 weeks. A lot of the rainfall that is shown in that forecast is actually going to be occurring during the next couple of days, when there will be a lot of additional quarter to 1 inch rainfall amounts. The rest of the 2 week time frame for the summer row crop areas of the former Soviet Union looking quite dry, and above normal temperatures going to be dominating that area for the next 2 weeks as well. In Europe, additional very nice rain is going to be falling over the next 2 weeks in southeastern corn areas of Europe, especially Romania and nearby areas. That is an area that has had plentiful rainfall all summer long. Looks like some nice rain is going to be falling in Poland during the next 10 days as well. But further west of there, you can see that the forecast is still quite dry for the next 2 weeks. Below normal rainfall for a lot of France and Germany during that time frame. In fact, a lot of Germany and France looking at nothing in the way of rainfall for the 5 day time frame that is directly in front of us right now. A lot of above above normal temperatures in Europe for the next 2 weeks as well, and still are looking at some fairly decent heat, especially across western portion of Europe for later on during this work week period. You can see that high temperatures there for Thursday, suggesting quite a bit of 90 plus degree heat for France and into Germany. That would not last for too long. They should be seeing moderating temperatures again for the weekend. Forecast for spring grain areas of the former Soviet Union. Some nice rain is going to be falling in eastern portions of their spring grain areas for the next 10 days, but very limited amounts further west. Near to below normal rainfall for corn and soybean areas of China during the next 2 weeks. That will be both the case for Manchuria and the North China Plain. Note that a lot of the rain that is shown there is going to be falling in the very near term, and that is all still due to the projected path of Tropical Storm 12W. That is a storm system that is going to be producing quite a bit of rainfall in the North China Plain for today for Shandong and Hebei, and then working into western portion of Manchuria for the Tuesday-Wednesday time frame. Once we get beyond Wednesday, though, below normal rainfall going to be dominating both Manchuria and the North China Plain for the rest of the 2 week time frame, with lots of above normal temperatures there as well. It's not a wet forecast for the Canadian prairies for the next 10 days to 2 weeks. Note the very limited rainfall that is going to be seen for the next 10 days across southeastern Alberta into southern Saskatchewan and into southwestern Manitoba. Forecast, though, is not hot for the Canadian prairies. Lots of days with below normal temperatures there for at least the next 10 days. Forecast is trending a little bit wetter for Australian wheat areas. You can see that a lot of their southern portion of the wheat area is looking at close to normal rainfall during the next 2 weeks. Even the forecast turning a little bit wetter for northern portion of New South Wales, but obviously overall still not a wet forecast per se. A lot of the rainfall that is shown in this 2 week time frame, though, will be occurring during the 1 to 5 day time frame. Finishing up this morning for the Indian monsoon, you can look at how the Indian monsoon has done so far. For India as a whole, you can see that monsoonal rainfall through July 22nd running 3% below normal, especially dry in eastern and northeastern India. Note that a lot of the key groundnut and oilseed areas located in central India, though, have had above normal monsoonal rainfall so far. No changes in the look of the monsoon, still below normal rainfall for the next 2 weeks in the south. A better rainfall in the north, with Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh still being the target areas for the best rainfall amounts in that period. That's all I have for your Monday. Everyone have themselves a great day.